Fairview's coffee has mysteriously gone missing. Mayhem ensues when strange, coffee-craving zombies plague the city. Detective Mickey Potatoes, an overworked public servant, uncovers why ordinary citizens are losing their minds and how to stop the coffee apocalypse. But it involves the mafia. And when you're dealing with mafia crime families, nothing is ever easy. The mafia controls everything in the city, including the police, including him. If he breaks the mafia, they will break him. So, the city is without coffee. The city is burning before his very eyes, but he's powerless. Detective Potatoes has the power to stop the coffee apocalypse, but if he does, he could lose everything.
This is my place, okay? I have in here who in the fuck I want.
Money comes big. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not small. No, no, no.
Kiss my entire...
Oh, my darling, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
Your coffee, sir.
Thanks, beautiful.
You're welcome.
This is a man's world.
This is a man's world, baby. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Doc's Coffee Shop. Let's check in, see how everybody's doing. Billy is here. Max is here. I did that completely backwards. Yeah, StreamYard's being a bitch today. I don't like it when StreamYard's a bitch. Click on the damn thing and it false starts. It's very unprofessional. Hope everybody's doing good today. We're going to be diving into some stuff. My mic is a bit hot. All right, let me turn my mic down a little bit. I always aim to please. Is that a little better now? I hope so. I cut it in half. Let me know, Max. Give me a thumbs up if that's better. Or a whatever. I realize a thumbs up's not possible. Hey, speaking of which, if you enjoy the content you get here on the shop, be sure you give it a thumbs up in the Doomaflagella's down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Ring that bell. I'm going to bring out a gentleman here who is a subject matter expert on anything I need him to be.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Shumway, nice to meet you. Interested in a new Buick?
Nonsense. I've not yet begun to defile myself.
I'll make you famous.
I have not yet begun to defile myself.
Your mic is a bit hot.
Uh-oh.
I personally think it's StreamYard doing their usual shenanigans because we sound checked backstage and everything was groovy. And now everybody's coming in a little bit hot.
Oh man.
So I can take care of you though. Hold on. I think I got you covered here.
Okay.
All right. Try it now, bro.
Check.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
You're groovy. You're groovy. All right. So, hey, Joe, I'm assuming that's Joe. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Why did you even come back here? He remembers my one line from a movie that I was going to be in. Why did you even bother coming back? Or some shit like that. I don't know. I was supposed to be really rednecky. Why did you even bother coming back here? I don't know. You ain't got the clothes on.
Whoa, dude, Mike is all screwed up. Don't yell at all. I don't know what your gain is so high up, dude. That just went like totally zitzed out.
All right,
I don't
thank
even
you.
know what you were saying.
All right, well, there you go. I hope I took care of that. I deleted the voice EQ. I hope that's better. Is that better? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
All right. All right. So, anyway, having said that, going to get into a few things here today. You know, there's a thing called sociopolitical entropy. And this theory has been around since the 30s. But basically, it says, you know, entropy is you have a starting point for something and all things decay over time. Please notice I said decay, not improve. Nothing improves over time without intervention. All right. It is the natural course of things that they decay. Well, in a democracy, which we are not, by the way, the United States is a constitutional republic. All right. Or a representative form of government.
And to the republic for which it
stands. That's right. Get out that tree, Adelou. All things decay. So we had this wonderful republic given to us by our founding fathers. And with intervention, it got better over time. But now the theory states that an uninformed populace will vote for people and policies based on ignorance and feeling. And we're seeing that happen. You know, if you ever wonder what's happening to society, it's the natural decay brought on by ignorance and feelings. It's by fifis. Now, the left would have you believe, and I'm talking about the social left and part of the political left, would have you believe that the transmania that's going on right now is equivalent to the civil rights movement, which granted equal rights to minorities. That's not the case. Trans people, gay people, lesbian people, the whole rainbow have and enjoy the full rights and protection of the Constitution. There's nothing I can do as a straight white male that a gay, transsexual, black person can't do. All right. They have all those same rights. What they want is deferential treatment, preferential treatment. They started with accept us, then it became celebrate us, then it became venerate us and promote us. And now it is sneaking its slimy, nasty way into everything. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't look. If you want to be a man and dress up like a woman, if you want to call yourself a woman, that's cool. Do whatever you want to. This is a free country. As long as you ain't violating my rights, that's all good. The moment you try to insist on me participating in your delusion, you've crossed a line. The problem is that they are now legislating a mandatory participation in the madness in most of the blue states at the legislative and gubernatorial levels. So, for example, out in the Republic of California, we've got their new law going into effect June 13th, 2023. Encourages parents who support their and TGI is transgender identifying children by, quote, making it clear that affirming a child's gender identity is part of the health, safety, and welfare of the child, end quote. Keep in mind the enforcement side of child protection law says you must protect the health, safety, and welfare of the child. So basically saying that if you don't participate in the delusion that a 6-year-old might have, then you are breaking the law. It also allows courts to consider a parent's affirmation. Yes. To consider a parent's affirmation of their child's gender identity when making decisions about visitation and custody. Hear that. If you are going through a custody battle for your child and you are a normal, right-thinking person who believes in protecting your child from permanent castration, either by chemical or mechanical / surgical means, then they can take away your custodial rights and even your visitation rights. There's a recent case that happened. I didn't have time to clip it, and I'll try to give you a rounded view of this thing. But basically, custody battle going on between a husband and wife over their child. The child is a minor. The child either believes they are transgender or is suffering from this Munchausen by proxy. We'll call it Transhausen by proxy of the mother. And the court said, okay, well, we'll hold off on any kind of permanent medical interventions here until the custody matter is settled. And then the father gets a bill on his insurance for, quote, gender affirming care, unquote. The mother went ahead and did it with no repercussions. Okay. Hear that. There are multiple cases in Washington State. And I don't know why it's always the mothers, but the mothers want to transition their child. And they're being duped by this idea that puberty blockers they just temporarily pause puberty.
No.
It does not. If you impede the natural development of the human body, you permanently alter that human body. Up to and including, if you continue it long enough, this is the same thing as chemical castration. You are preventing a child from ever having any kind of sexual fulfillment or reproductive ability. In other words, you're basically committing a genocide. You're killing off a generation of kids that are never going to be able to reproduce. In the meantime, keep in mind that the thrust of this is that they're legalizing it. They're codifying it into law. And then you've got this kind of brainiac happening under Whitmer in Michigan, which maybe she and Gavin Newsom are running neck and neck for who is the worst governors in the country. Michigan House passes a bill that could make using wrong pronouns a felony, finable up to $10,000. Now, they'll say, no, if only if you do it continuously to harass somebody. Well, the description of the law says if they feel intimidated because you misgender them, that's intimidation. Okay. If you feel, keyword, fifis, feelings. All right.
Oh boy.
Now, I'm going to put it out there. If you bust up in the office looking like this, I'm not going to call you ma'am. Okay. You're not a ma'am. You're a he. And until 5 minutes ago, the American Psychological Association, hey, Stephen B., hail to you, sir. Until 5 minutes ago, the American Psychological Association recognized this dysphoria as a mental illness. But like any organization comprised of human beings, it is also the APA, subject to entropy. Once it was all about as hard a science as we could make it. Listen, I'm a retired counselor. I wouldn't be a counselor today for all the money in the world. And now it's infiltrating into the AMA, American Medical Association, which is the governing body over psychiatrists. Okay, they answer to that body, not the APA. That's psychologists. There's a difference. But now the AMA is considering doing away with the word obese because it would hurt somebody's feelings. And they are also trying to get on board with the gender dysphoria no longer being an illness which requires treatment. Michigan has further outlawed so-called conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is nothing more than cognitive behavioral therapy. It simply says, you got a dick, you're a man. And if you're having issues because of that, then we'll work on those issues. Not, I'm going to affirm your imagined identity and encourage that, because what you're doing is perpetuating a delusion. And that is not helpful. All of counseling, and all means all, and that's all that all means, is designed to help people cope with wrong think. Something has gone wrong in your brain. Anorexia, you believe you're fat, so you induce non-eating, or you're bulimic and you vomit after meals to try to maintain this dysphoria you've got about your self-image. It is absolutely no different from gender dysphoria. It's exactly the same thing. I believe X to be true in spite of Y. We try to help people in counseling see that Y is the case and therefore X is wrong. We've got to get your beliefs to come in line with reality. Okay. People with OCD might believe that every time they cook a meal, they're poisoning somebody. Well, you got to treat that because it ain't real. Okay. It's becoming not just codified into law. The good news, of course, is there's pushback in red states led by Governor DeSantis in Florida, coming out and saying, no, teachers, you may not indoctrinate children, minor children, toddlers, into your sexual orientation. And by the way, that means straight also. It's not a don't say gay bill. It said, keep your sex out of here. The parents didn't approve this. Teach them how to read, write, and do math. And shut up. Leave the kids alone. And there are several states, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Florida, and about 5 other red states that are passing laws to protect children from this idiocy. The only hope you have if you live in a blue state, hear me on this, you either got to get politically active and vote that garbage out, or you need to move. You need to get out of those shitholes. Tanner, had one guy tell me, well, don't you understand that taxes are that high so that we can have a stronger social net, safety net to help out all the homeless and transient and blah, blah, blah. And I said, don't you realize that your policies in those states create the homeless and the transient? They increase poverty. They're detrimental. You know, you can't spin leftism into anything that makes any kind of sense. It just can't be done. Mm-hmm. The divide between left and right has grown wider and wider as the right pretty much has stayed where it is, but the left is just headed that way at light speed, as far away from the center as they can get. Until now, it's not only being legislated, it's not only being indoctrinated in children and in college. Of course, we knew that's been going on, but now it's been discovered. You know, basically they kicked over the rotten log and all the bugs came crawling out. This is encroaching into where our children, our most vulnerable, are captives to those teachers for more time in a day than a parent spends with them during the school year. Because you think about it, a kid gets home from school, you feed them, you help them with their homework, you put them to bed, tell them you love them. You know, that's less time than they got to spend with Mr. Arbuckle, who wears a dress.
Well, you know, it used to be, you know, you'd come home and you had, you know, from 3 to 4, your hour of cartoons. And now everything's streaming. So, you know, they have access to this stuff 24/7. You know, if kids are latchkey, what do they call it? Latchkey.
Yeah. Latchkey kids. Yeah.
You know, and, thankfully mine aren't because I work from home, you know, but still, I have a job that I have to do and I can't always watch. I assume that, if they're watching something that is for quote unquote kids, that it is a kid friendly program.
You would think that you should be able to trust developers of programming to provide child friendly care. Now, Tanner, you were sharing a story with me backstage.
I was.
Tell us about this.
So my son goes to a friend's house, for a week, and they live out of state in South Carolina. No big deal. Well, he
It's
comes
right across the river from where he's
right,
at.
right across the river, not a big deal. Um, but he comes home and he's like, "We got to watch this show, Nimona." Okay, for a family movie night type thing that we do here at our house, and we finally got around to securing some time for a family movie night.
And the first red flag was it's on Netflix.
Yeah, first red flag was Netflix, but I was like, okay, we'll start watching, and we get into it, and it is a just well, as this thing will tell you, it's the empowering trans allegory of a lead shape shifting character. And the adorable, as it says here, romance between Sir Ballister Boldheart and Sir Ambrosius Goldenloin.
Nimona is truly a treat for the gays.
So I basically have to, I get questions from my kids who are 12. Well, my younger two are 12 and 13. And now I am thrusted into having to bring up these topics, despite the fact that
not bring them up, address them.
I have to address these facts.
Yeah.
And
because somebody gets in the kids' ears and their eyes. We're not speaking ill of that your son's friend's family, but
I don't even think that they realize what the boys were watching.
Right.
Yeah.
This is in your kid's face all the time, and we haven't. It's not meme review time yet, but we do have an appropriate meme for that. People will say on the left, it's not hurting anybody. If you don't like it, don't watch it. It is being snuck into Sesame Street. It is in the Transformers. It is in almost all publicly available media or even streaming services. It's there. It's in the schools. It's in entertainment. It's in pop culture. It's everywhere you look. And if you don't think that it can infiltrate your family, you're wrong. Georgia is a conservative state if you take Atlanta out of it. Tanner lives here in Georgia in a conservative state. He is, would you say you're a conservative parent raising your children with traditional values?
Yeah,
And yet you had to address this in your own home.
Yeah, no, I mean, but it's not that I wouldn't, in time, but I feel like, when they're, in their mid-teens, stuff like that, that's, when I think it's appropriate to start talking.
If it comes up.
If it even comes up, yeah.
Right. Yeah, almost every state is concerned. Louis Grizzard said New York's great if you take the city out of it. It is in mainstream comic books. It is in movies. It is in streaming services, television shows. Gay Friend says the trans agenda is nothing but a way to erase homosexuality. Yeah, we're going to talk about that here shortly when we do the call-in portion, Max. So be sure you hang around. I even have, I would call a friend, a young lady who has decided she's a man, who is, I guess, trans, that hangs out at the coffee shop where I used to hang out, drink coffee. And even this person is like, yeah, this forcing it on children is amoral. It's not immoral, it's amoral. It's totally lacking any moral or ethics. It is agenda driven, and you have to ask yourself, where does that agenda take us? Now, I want you to remember, and I don't have the memes, or memes, I don't have the screenshots. I'll have them next week when we talk more about this. Sound of Freedom's out now, and one of the biggest detractors of that is a person who is a pedo rights advocate who wrote articles that were published in the Washington Post and some other magazine. Hear what I just said. A pedo rights activist is coming out against it, and it's getting traction in mainstream publications. Boys and girls, under the sound of my voice, it is past the point where we can go, well, it doesn't affect me, so I can just ignore it. We're past that. If you don't, listen, every election is important, but if you don't think the upcoming elections are important, you are sadly mistaken. If something approaching the right doesn't take power in this country and hold it for a good 8 years, then we're on a death spiral as a republic. Europe is almost gone. Australia's fighting it. It's infected everywhere. Pretty soon, the only nations that won't have a trans agenda are the Muslims who throw them off the roof. Okay? Who'd have ever thought they'd be in the right? And I'm not endorsing throwing anybody off the roof, by the way.
No.
Oh, is Carrie here? Where's Carrie?
Carrie chimed in like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, hello, Carrie. Glad to have you here from across the pond. She always brings me news of the insanity across the pond there. It's the last peace stock. If the left can get people to normalize harming children, total class society. Yes, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And you got to understand. Hello, Don.
Hey, Don.
That you are not powerless. Okay. I'm a Christian. I believe the Bible to be true. I know that's shocking to some people who think it can't be, but I promise you, I'm not a stupid person. I've read the book. I believe the book. The good news is at the end, when the trumpet sounds, because we're not looking for a sign, we're listening for a trumpet. The Bible says there is still seed time and harvest. There are still wedding ceremonies going on. People still building homes. In other words, life goes on right up until the end, which means until that trumpet sounds, there's still a fight to be had and a fight that can be won. Okay. So don't give up hope. Don't despair. Get active in your school boards. Vote. Campaign for somebody. Speak up. Don't be told to shut up or you'll be called an istophobe. Yeah. You have to take a stand. It's obligatory.
Because I don't know what people do in the confines of their own home.
That's right.
I don't. This is America.
You have the right to do whatever you see fit to do as long as it's legal.
But make it to where, I can't, sit my kids in front of the television or say, they're constantly on social media. I find my daughter is always watching, streams on social media. And I find myself having to even watch that, and they're tricky. They're tricky. They'll start like the first few episodes, as decent, streams, and then when they think that parents aren't watching anymore,
they slide it in. Now, if you have nothing to hide, why do you hide it?
Mm-hmm.
If your agenda is not an agenda, then why include it? If let's say, if I want to do a pro right-wing show, which I do, I'm going to let you know from the jump that I'm on the right. I'm biased. I have no middle ground on certain issues. We're never going to find common ground on certain issues. So I'm not misleading you. I'm not encouraging you to hang out and watch my show unless you want to learn a little something about how the other side of the aisle believes. All right. It just is what it is. But these shows come couched as child friendly, like child friendly drag shows. There's no such thing as a child friendly drag show. You got people writing articles in mainstream magazines. I should have clipped this one that says, yes, absolutely, kink belongs in a gay pride parade for my child to see, and I want my child to see it. Why? Why would you want your child to see it? Yeah, I tricked you, Joe. But we're going to segue smoothly into, on that note, actually, no, we're not. I've got to finish making a point here. This person is the Assistant Director of Health and Human Services. This is Levine. I will not call him Rachel. This is a man that grew his hair out, left his family to go live as a woman, calling himself a woman. Remember, they said originally, it's not a slippery slope to give us this and give us that. And now we're being told we must venerate this person. We must respect this person. Keep in mind that Health and Human Services wears uniforms of the United States Navy, including the Surgeon General. I'm here to tell you, when I was wearing my dress blues, if I saw this, it ain't getting a salute, court-martial me. I don't care. All right. Then this idiot was in charge of nuclear waste disposal. Of course, thank God was fired, but not for being a perv, but for stealing luggage. All right. Single-handedly responsible for the destruction of a large brand. You got this. You're told this is a woman. You must accept it. No, you don't. If blackface is wrong, woman face is wrong. All right, this is a parody. Dylan Mulvaney, I'm issuing this to you right now. If you really are a woman, then get the bottom surgery. I'll crowdfund it, and I'll be the biggest donor. Get the implants and lose the goober. All right, you still won't be a woman, but at least it'll show you're serious. And then you've got this. This is Miss Netherlands. All right. Miss Netherlands. Boys and girls, in case you can't tell, that there is a man. So let's play a little game with this.
One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Can you tell which thing is not like the other before I finish my song?
I can spot it. It's the fat dude in the front wearing lipstick that doesn't belong. Every aspect of society, almost everywhere. Almost everywhere. Now that leads us to meme review. I'm not going to play the theme song, but let's just jump right in. Speaking of not wanting that contagion to spread across America, when you see a car in your neighborhood with California plates, take a good look at the expression on that face. When you realize Germany always loses world wars and now they're on your team. Just saying. We talked about this last week. How Southern are you? I deep fried a loaded gun. Listen, it's the South, baby. We'll deep fry anything. Don't even try it.
Woo-wee.
If I loot stores and burn down my neighborhood, it will make the police act gooder. Leftist logic. Mostly peaceful protests as the place burns down. In an effort not to offend, the great white shark will be officially renamed the average Caucasian shark. Because remember, being white is a crime in modern day Western culture. When it took her 2 hours to get ready, but she's rushing you to put on your shoes. That face. Bitch, what? Studies show that men's testosterone has been in decline for decades. Source? My brother in Christ, you are the source. Look in the mirror. Listen, if you live under a rock and you haven't been out in public and seen all the soy creatures, you are truly blessed. That's all I got to say about that. Exactly right, Billy. They try. Diversity is our strength. Ask Paris, France, how that diversity is working out for them right now. Just saying. It's not. Diversity of thought is always a good idea. It's a good idea to have a lot of ideas in a room. Not a good idea to require inclusion of idiocracy. Okay? If I'm running a business, I want to make money. Not pander. All right, ESG used to be a requirement that said companies have an obligation to make a profit for the shareholders. Obama slipped in the and include diversity, equity, blah, blah, blah. And that's why you see all of this crap now. Yes, absolutely. And we're almost there. I am a straight, white, Christian, conservative veteran. That makes me the most hated person on the planet, in spite of the fact that I have spent my entire working life helping other people. Period. Military, medicine, mental health, always in service to my fellow man. How much so? Every Friday, free of charge, you could get seen. I didn't charge a dime. If you couldn't afford help, you got it by coming to my practice. Hey, Charles, good to see you, my friend. That's more than a tithe, by the way. That's 20% of my time, which was worth between $80 and $120 an hour to come see me as a counselor. I gave it away for free to those who could not afford it. I never let I can't afford it be a reason for someone to not get help. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. All right. But because I'm a straight white Christian male, I'm evil. Meanwhile, the libtards that endorse that point of view wouldn't lift a finger to put a fire out on your head if their life depended on it.
Yeah.
Just saying. It's a thing.
It is a thing.
It's a thing. So, hold on a second. There's a campaign up on Fund My Comic right now. We're gonna pause here to play a couple of little short stingers for you. My boy Tanner Hurley got a little something going on.
Heck yeah.
She's purple. She's got long ears and big boobs. She's sexy. She's Ren. Just saying. Head on over to Fund My Comic and get yourselves a copy. The thing is already printed and ready to go. How much is a copy of that book, Tanner?
It's $5.
$5 whole. Get over to Fund My Comic and back the damn thing. What are you waiting for? You know, we have a new spokesman that says it.
Just back it already.
That's awesome.
Got another little something in the works here. You can sign up for pre-launch at darkgiftcomics.com and just follow the links over to A Damn Dirty Thing. We're going to give you a discount code for signing up early, and I'm going to throw something else in there to sweeten the pot. I don't know what yet. Early days. We're still working on getting Pariah, the lettering finished, and get it off to the printers. It's over 50% done now. Looking forward to get it out there. Hello, Rex. Good to see you, my friend. There is no soy involved in the making of this show. Glad to have you here. Glad to see everybody. Waiting on Tanner to get back. I know exactly what he's doing. He's getting ready for the next segment. Should have been ready already. We had quite an interesting encounter. We talked about it a little bit last week. This particular person who was a hate grifter came on to Twitter and was attacking a beloved member of our network, our community, Fanta. His Twitter account got suspended because he tried to dox somebody's family. So he's gone. Anyone who backs Stephen's book today will be blessed with high testosterone and will be protected from the effects of soy. That's true. And we'll play his trailer here in just a minute when we take our break. But in the meantime, it is time for another little segment we do here called
Greetings and salutations. I'm Tanner Hurley with another installment of Great Moments of Comic History. Today we are talking about the legendary, the amazing Joe Kubert. Okay, so if you've been living under a rock this whole time, for generations, and don't know who the amazing Joe Kubert is, let's just talk a little bit about his DC artwork. He did Hawkman, a lot of the war stories, to include Sergeant Rock. I mean, the amazing Sergeant Rock, brought back by Billy Tucci, but I digress. Okay, what has he done for comics? Okay, so Joe Kubert in 1976 started the Joe Kubert Institute for Cartooning and Animation. All right, and this has brought us hundreds, if not thousands, of comic creators that we enjoy today.
I mean, do we know any of the alumni? Anybody in chat? Do you guys know anybody that went to the Kubert School?
Oh man,
I fell out. I fell out of the comic book world in the 90s. And
there's tons of people.
So who would I know, Tanner?
Do you know Steve Mannion?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. He's an alum.
Oh, Pops, sorry about that. Pops' internet went out. He was producing from backstage. No. We will carry on, sir.
But Ed Piscor of Cartoonist Kayfabe and Red Room Comic. Him and Jim Rugg both went to the Kubert Art School. Jim Ballant, who did yeah. I mean, his tarot.
Yeah. Now, for those that don't know, Kubert School, whether you succeed as a comic book artist professionally or not, is not really relevant. They teach good art. They teach the fundamentals. They teach everything you need to know to succeed. How you proceed from there is entirely up to you. You know, I mean, and luck plays a part of that. But again, circling back to our theme for today, chances are, unless you're flying a rainbow flag on your forehead, you're not going to get in at Marvel or DC. Sorry. You know, it's just not in the works right now. So go make an indie comic. Come on in. The water's great. We got room for everybody. So this has been another installment of Tanner Hurley. I gotta say, we're never going to run out of great moments.
No.
In spite of the infection, the mental venereal disease that's going on in culture these days, man, there's some good stuff in comics. You know, I am a reasonably articulate human being. I developed a huge vocabulary at a young age from reading comic books. I wanted to know what Excelsior meant. I wanted to understand Thor comics, so I read Shakespeare. Reading Thor's comics enabled me to read the King James Bible with no problem whatsoever. I will thee and thou to death. Thee to death, excuse me.
Thee to death.
Man, comics are a great medium. If you're a storyteller, think about this. You want to make a movie, but you just can't because you can't afford it. Make a comic book. The special effects budget is unlimited.
Unlimited to your imagination.
That's right. Yeah. There are. Yeah, damn autocorrect. Yeah, we want AI to make art, but autocorrect can't even get words right. Yeah. Just saying. So we've reached that part of the show, Tanner, where we're going to throw ourselves to the wolves here.
Uh-oh. Let's do it.
You know, I just want to say this. You're welcome to come out. This is the call-in portion of the show. You want to pop in and chime in on today's topic or talk about something else?
I remember the vampire Lestat, you know, that movie when he says, come out, wherever you are.
That's right. Warriors, come out and play.
Another great one.
By the way, my I'm gonna be a good boy this time and remember to play the appropriate intro for our backstage folks.
What's up?
Max, how the hell are you, brother?
My hair's looking crazy this morning.
Welcome, Max. Good to see you, buddy.
All right, what's up?
Oh, you know what's up. You know what's up. Quote Pops. Hey, yeah, there you go. Use your beret. Tone it down. There we go. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
You too. You too.
So I was going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot. Have you personally in your life run up against this trans agenda DEI garbage? Has it infiltrated into your world yet?
It's in the school system here for we have an 8-year-old that goes to school, and they really are pushing the whole accept everybody for what they are type of thing, and it's the beginnings of it all. You know, there's stages.
It's there. Yeah, if you go to the school library and kick over that rotten log, the bugs are going to crawl out, Max. I'm sure of it. Remember that over in England right now, because someone refused to play along with a person who identified as a cat, they were told they didn't belong at that school. Because who are you to bring in common sense?
Let me tell you what they were trying to do in Ludowici, a small town, like one traffic light, if that. Little Ludowici school. They were talking about putting human-sized litter boxes in the bathrooms for the furry students.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. And keep in mind,
you can't make this up.
Keep in mind, this is in a conservative state.
Yeah.
Doc, you said that the APA is getting rid of body dysmorphia as a disorder?
Yep.
So
no, gender dysphoria.
Gender dysphoria is a disorder. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know the APA is the DSM people.
Right.
So are they going to just remove it from DSM-6, or are they going to? What are they going to do?
It's already been changed to the DSM-5 to be a symptom that is best addressed by gender-affirming care instead of being a mental illness in and of itself.
See, I don't understand that whole thing, because it's like some guy says he's Napoleon, and everyone's like, "No, you're not, dude. You're not Napoleon." Right. With these ways that they want to treat people now, it's like, I'm Napoleon. Okay, Napoleon, have a seat. We'll have a talk about how you're Napoleon.
Yes, and we will help empower you to take over Europe. You know,
it's going to end bad for you in Russia, but
yeah, you know, the absurdity of it is that if someone showed me the headlines of this stuff when I was on active duty in the military, serving under Ronald Reagan, I would not have believed you. I would have thought it was some warning thing like the book 1984, not reality.
Or something out of the College Humor magazine.
Yeah, it's the level, not just of the insanity. Insanity is always going to exist. By the way, okay, here's the disclaimer. Sane and insane are not psychological terms. They're legal terms, but you get my point. Not only does it exist, but it's venerated, it's exalted, and now it's being legislated and enforced that you must participate in it. In Canada, we know there's the father up there who did not want his child transitioned, and his child has been stripped away. He even went to jail for misgendering his child in court. He would not call his child, I forget if it was boy to girl to boy. Didn't matter. All right. I'm going to say this with all the love in my heart, boys and girls. If you're on the left and you believe in this shit, understand this. A child one day will think he's Superman. Don't tie a towel around his neck and throw him off the roof. He can't fly. All right. Children will believe they're a truck, a boy, a girl, a spider, a dog. I remember I wanted to be a puppy when I was in kindergarten. Teacher slapped me upside the head and said, "Get out of the floor." I got out of the fucking floor.
I always wanted to be a cat, just so I could lay around and do nothing.
Well, I mean,
that makes sense.
You've achieved that now, Max.
Pretty much, yeah. I made that happen for me, but it took me quite a while to get there.
Now, understand what I'm saying, though. We couch that in humor, but it's serious. Your child's undeveloped brain is not capable of making decisions that have permanent implications for their life.
No,
this is why you got to be at least 18 to get a tattoo or get piercings without parental consent. All right. This is why we don't let toddlers drive cars. This is why you got to be 18 to join the military. You got to be 21 to drink.
You got to be 21 to buy cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they changed the law from 18 to 21 on that.
And they will always justify all of these things by saying you're not mature enough to make these decisions. You can quit smoking. You can get out of the military when your hitch is up. But if you permanently castrate yourself when you're a child, that's for life.
Yeah.
There's no unringing that bell. Now,
once that cat's out of the bag, it's pretty much done.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you disagree, feel free to disagree. I don't run from differing opinions. I will engage them. But we're talking to, in our chat, mostly people who are like-minded. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes, for this audience, what do you do about it? Well, what can I do? Everybody feels powerless until you take some power. All right. Our founding fathers did not go, what are we going to do? There's a reason we don't answer to the crown anymore. All right.
Yeah, we didn't want to pay taxes.
Yeah. The civil rights movement was a hard fought battle for rights that should have been there from Jump Street for Black Americans and for Latino Americans, for women getting the vote. All right. That fight had to happen. This fight needs to happen too.
They always made it out to be a big deal that women couldn't vote. But in the Constitution, there is no right to vote codified in that document.
Exactly right.
So,
except for women and blacks.
Yeah.
So technically, we white males don't have the right to vote.
Yeah, we don't. And it used to be that you used to have to be a landowner to vote.
Yes.
And then they changed it. 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 And now everything's fine.
And now you can be an illegal immigrant and not only vote, but you can run for office. I shit you not. It's happening in California. Go watch Victor Davis Hanson. And here's the thing. Rights come with responsibilities. If you were a voter, a registered voter, you had to participate in the bucket brigade, the volunteer fire department.
Yep.
You had to. And
it's like draft nowadays.
Yeah, selective service, exactly. Why is that only men?
They've been trying to change it.
It's not anymore.
Did they actually
really
change it?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Women have to sign up for the draft now too.
Nice.
Yeah, my wife my current ex-wife. She was quite upset about it when she get her driver's license renewed. And they're like, "Would you like to sign up for the selective service?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to be involved in that shit." And they're like, "Well, you can't vote unless you're signed up for selective service." She's like, "I'm a female." And it's like, doesn't matter. Laws changed.
And there you go. I did not know that. Now, here's what I do know. Right now, thank God, we have one bastion of conservatism in the Supreme Court. We've seen affirmative action finally struck down. Thank God, because that's not about equal rights. Don't let anybody tell you it is. It's not about equality of opportunity, because it's not. It's gone. So you can't judge a test paper based on somebody's skin color. That's all it says.
Yeah, I mean,
They did away with constitutionally protected abortion because it's not in the Constitution. It didn't outlaw abortion. It just sent it back to the states where it always belonged. You know, the Supreme Court has upheld 3 pivotal cases of Second Amendment rights, thank God. But now, keep in mind, you on the left, you think it's a good idea when you hear your leaders say, well, we're just going to pack the court. We'll just appoint a whole bunch of new leftist justices and blah, blah, blah. That's a two-way street, baby. The next conservative president that comes in can just appoint even more until you end up with hundreds of Supreme Court justices. That's bullshit. That's not the way to do this.
That are all fucking zealots.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want.
Yeah. Now, in my opinion, there's some things we need. And it may take a convention of states to do it. And I think maybe we need to do it.
Well, they've been trying to have a convention of states for years now.
Yeah. And I wish it would happen because keep in mind, a convention of states can only be called for one purpose, but that's one at a time. One at a time. So I want a constitutional amendment starting with term limits for Congress.
That would be good. I would also like to have an audit of the Fed.
Yes, that's another one.
And I'd like to have an audit of the activities of the United States federal government in the use of 9th and 10th Amendment applications
yes.
to the law.
Yes. We need several things. Term limits, a balanced budget amendment that requires every state, well, not every state, most states have them. We have one here in Georgia.
Yeah, we got
it's
it
the
in
law.
Missouri too.
Yeah, you have to balance the budget. I mean, what kind of fucktardery are we living in where numbers are so big they become imaginary?
Mm-hmm.
You know? People will go, well, Bill Clinton balanced the budget and he was a Democrat. No, he didn't. He signed it into law. The Republican House balanced the budget. That was Newt Gingrich, boys and girls. Okay. Keep that in mind. He balanced the budget. But anyway, we need a constitutional amendment for a balanced budget, for term limits, to have the Fed audited and, in my opinion, done away with. We don't need the Fed. There at some point we got to do these things, but in the meantime, we got to have a judiciary that will at least enforce the laws we already have, and we've seen this Supreme Court do it over the dissension of those appointed by the leftists. Of course, right now we've got one that cannot give you the working definition of what is a woman because she doesn't have a degree in biology or medicine. All right. If you don't think, I've got a leftist friend who says it doesn't matter, that's never going to matter. Cases are going to come before this Supreme Court that involve gender identity. I promise you.
Oh yeah, they'll be everywhere.
Yeah, they're already in the pipeline. Title IX.
I'm saying, I said earlier about my gay friends. They all think that this trans stuff is just a way to erase homosexuality and the gay identity because, you know, these kids are confused. They're growing up. They're 6, 7 years old. They don't know what the deal is. They know they're not attracted to girls like they're supposed to be, so they're attracted to boys. So does that make them a girl?
Right,
so,
exactly.
You know, and then she's like, oh, well, I feel like I'm a woman. And then, okay, well, let's treat you like a woman. And really, they're just homosexual.
Gay. Yeah, yeah. Now, mind you, as a Christian, I don't get behind being gay or lesbian either. As an adult, you have that right. All right. People have a hard time understanding how a Christian can separate that. Scripture commands us as Christians to comply with the law of the land. All right. We're ordered to do it. So I don't have a problem with it. My personal beliefs are separate from my political beliefs. Mm-hmm. Having said that, Max is exactly right. I've got several people I know that are gay, lesbian, and they see this trans mania that's going on right now as really hurting their movement. Now, I don't know what they're moving about. They've got all the rights in the world everybody else has.
That whole gay marriage thing, what they should have done with it all was just gotten the federal government out of marriage. All done.
All government. all government out
Don't
of
have
marriage.
to get a marriage license. You just go to the church you want to have it done, and the church can create a document that creates a marriage, and then you're done.
Hey, by the way, church records are still, to this day, federally accepted legal documents. When you're baptized, when you join the church, those records are legal documents. Bet you didn't know that, but they are. But yeah, government has no business in marriage anyway. But the big bamboozle in that was it wasn't enough to have civil unions that were in every way equal to marriage. They insisted on having marriage and forcing churches to bend their beliefs to that agenda. And most denominations have done it. Southern Baptists will not bend on it. I was telling Tanner, I told Tanner backstage, if you go right now and you look up all the major denominations and say, what is your policy on same-sex marriage? They have PDFs about their policies. We're inclusive with this. If you go to the Southern Baptist, it says, quote, we believe in the inerrant word of God, period. That's it. That's their whole policy on it. And here's why. If you take the word religion out of it and just pretend for a moment that these are clubs, and the club is founded on certain ideas, then you can't be in the club unless you ascribe to those ideas. It's that simple. Now, thank God we've got a First Amendment to protect that religious expression, because now even the Boy Scouts aren't for boys. You know, wrap your brain around that for a moment.
Which I didn't understand, because I always thought that, because when I was a Boy Scout, I almost got my Eagle Scout. But that's a whole story.
Okay.
I was disgraced and had to leave the Boy Scouts. We'll just put it that way.
Did you get caught finger banging Mary Jane Rottencrotch behind the barn?
No. We had to do our Eagle Scout project, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were building an aviary at a just like a park, basically. It was kind of a park in the middle of fucking nowhere, and we were building an aviary there for birds to hang out. And one of my friends who was up there with us, he brought some marijuana with him while we were up there, because we were going to smoke some pot and just drink some beers and have a good time in the middle of the evening, you know, because that's what you do when you're camping.
Right.
You do that in the morning, in the evening, and then in the morning we get up and we work on the aviary.
Right.
Well,
busted.
Yep, got busted. His dad showed up in the middle of the night. We get hammered. I take the blame for having the marijuana being mine, because I was the
Gotcha, bitch.
I was the long-haired hippie, so I took the blame for it, and that was it. I mean, they drummed my ass out. And
that's funny. I got kicked out of Boy Scouts too.
Same reason?
No. I got in a fight with the Scoutmaster's son. Whooped his ass. That was all too.
Now, I was never in Scouts.
We got in a fight inside the tent, Doc.
We were so poor we couldn't afford the uniforms.
You know the tent came down during the fight, right?
Well, sure. It turned into a self-fulfilling parody. Hey,
I always my original point was I always thought that the Boy Scouts was a Christian organization.
Well, in theory, but not really.
I can say that I never saw any of the weird shit that came out later. Okay, obviously, if that shit was like in the news when I was a kid, my parents
pedo stuff,
you know, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I never saw anything like that in Cub Scouts, Webelos, or Boy Scouts.
Yeah, maybe I just wasn't attractive enough, but no one ever fucked with me.
I mean, y'all know I was pretty, and they didn't mess with me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. This vain man. Hey, this is the thing too. You know, you hear about in the Catholic Church the priests messing with little boys. We don't have that in the Southern Baptist Church. What we do have is Southern Baptist pastors frequently caught with either prostitutes or the church secretary. So
or doing gay shit.
Yeah. So our pastor to avoid the appearance of evil, which we're commanded to do, by the way, he hired an old, ugly, mean woman as the church secretary. That way nobody would ever believe anything was going on there. And believe me, if you met her, you would know. You would say, Sister so-and-so, would you be good enough to run off 100 copies of this and make sure it gives the distribution? And she would say, and I quote, do it yourself. All righty then.
Okay.
Nobody was going to believe that stuff.
Get it done. Sounds like she's been smoking Camels for 1,000 years. Not even smooth, straights.
Yeah. Now, we had a girl that came in the church. She was mentally ill, but she went on an accusing binge. I just happened to be the first one. She accused me of touching her inappropriately. So I took an investigative suspension. In other words, you can't serve while we're looking into this. They didn't have to look into it long because she accused another member of attempted murder, another one of vandalizing her house. She accused the pastor of disseminating KKK literature throughout the community. And they pretty much went, yeah, you're reinstated, Doc. Sorry. Never mind that I wasn't even in the state when she said it happened, but okay.
Bitch be crazy, Doc. You're good.
Yeah. Bitch be crazy. You all good. Now, I do remember a buddy of mine. He was he's dead now, bless his heart, but he was kind of a wild child. But he's a Christian. He's in the church. And when we were having the meeting about this, he got outraged. He said, you mean an accusation is enough to do that? And they said, well, and he pointed at the pastor and 3 of the deacons. He said, you touched my Pepe, and you watched and ate popcorn. And he goes, you're all accused. Get out of here. Oh, my God. So,
that actually kind of dovetails back into what we were talking about, into where in today's society, an accusation is enough to destroy your life.
Do you know who ought to be the most pissed off about all this right now, about our current state of affairs? Gary Hart. Anybody remember Gary Hart?
Oh,
Gary Hart was running for president, and he got caught on a boat with a mistress, and the boat was called Monkey Business. And that immediately killed his campaign. Today, he would be the president. He had an affair. So what? Nobody cares. You know, if I was Gary Hart, I would be running for president again. I don't like him. He was a Democrat, and I didn't like his policies. But, you know, if I was him, I'd be running. Yeah, so what? I had an affair. And
who has it these days? I'm Polly. Yeah. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I'm polyamorous. Are you oppressing me? Yes. All right, we're going to play a few commercials here for some of our friends and their products. Excuse me. Hang around, and we're going to wrap this up. But don't go anywhere, because there is more to come. Now our boy Tanner's got to bounce. He's got important real life stuff to do.
Unfortunately.
Bullshit.
No, I
running away.
I got to take my kid to an appointment.
See, a father doing fatherly things. Tanner, thank you
to
as
a veteran, and you're saying you got to take someone to an appointment, and you don't think I'm thinking you're bullshitting?
What's that?
the veteran's excuse.
Exactly. I got an appointment. I can't do PT today. I got an appointment.
Let me tell you something.
Touché.
Sick bay was never busier than the day before PT.
Oh,
ever.
God.
Oh, boy. I'm here to tell you, they'd be lined up around the corner with knee and foot injuries.
So they don't run.
And my policy on this is like, look, I will issue a light duty chit. Tips are greatly appreciated. Here's the tip jar. All right, Tanner, get out of here. Thanks for hanging out, buddy.
Heck yeah. See you guys next week.
All right, let's jump into another one here. If you don't think indie comics are the way to go, you haven't seen Ninja Bimbos. Now, Joe and or Mo is here with us in the chat. We're going to play their trailer. But I gotta say this because I never remember to say it after the trailer. A character named Fisty.
Bringing you sex, sass, and style. Buckle up and unlock your imagination for a fun adventure with these death-dealing dames. They sail the galaxy in search of spoils. The most dangerous acquisition, and the most fruitful, are the legendary Splinters of Yggdrasil. The Splinters are magical artifacts forged from the Tree of Life that wreak havoc on the universe. The missions are perilous, but the bounty is glorious. Enjoy our hyper-fictional wonderland. How is a pirate ship sailing through space? 'Cause magic. How do they heal so quickly after battle? 'Cause magic. How are they able to communicate through jewelry? 'Cause magic. It's all about the characters. Abbo, rough, robotic, ready. Mo, carefree, callous, courageous. Mistress Graven, daring, diplomatic, dominating. Betsy, academic, accountable, aristocratic. Nefara, ancient, assured, adrenaline junkie. Bruto, proud, prominent, protective. Fisty, independent, incendiary, invigorating. Roxy, superficial, scarred, secretive. Once you get to know this diverse crew of mythical miscreants, you'll be anxious to find out what trouble they'll get into on the next episode. Go to abogrizzly.com and order both halves of the first episode today.
If you're out there, go to the website, check it out. But Joe, if you're out there, how many total, they call them episodes, how many books are currently available on the website? Or Pops, you might know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that schedule at the end was accurate still.
Yeah. Joe has already said they're making a new trailer, so we'll get that as soon as we can.
They are pushing on the third set. I think I have the first two sets, which is 4 books. I'm working on the next set right now. So they're a little bit behind what that schedule said, but they're,
So coming up on 12 books, is that correct?
No, they have 4 out, two of the sets, and they're working on the third set.
So how many books is that total?
I have 4, and they're working on the next 2 right now.
Okay.
That's why he doesn't come and hang out with us, because he's working.
Working his butt off. Second hardest working man. Third hardest working man in comics.
Books at one every time.
Yeah.
They would do 2 books together. So
right. And each one is an episode. So when you hear episode, think issue. For those of you that are hardcore comic book folks, but it's good stuff. It's fun. It's very cool. Mo and Joe are very cool people. They've got great merch on their website. Be sure you go check them out. Let's take a look at another one from another friend of ours.
The Civil War was America's bloodiest conflict. Over 500,000 died to preserve national unity. When the war ended, Confederates like Harley Brogdon headed west, shooting game for the Army and gambling. When a card game turns deadly, Harley shoots in self.
That gunshot just scared the shit out of me.
Sharp who threw down first. Wilfred Knorr, the card sharp's wealthy father, will stop at nothing to see Harley hang. Harley flees to Cobb's Gap, an old silver mining town at the foot of the Rockies. A remarkably peaceful town, especially after dark. But the sheriff harbors a dark secret, and no one dares go into the mines anymore. Cobb's Gap is full of secrets. People speak in hushed tones of something in the mines. Something worse than their cursed sheriff. Something even the Indians fear from the deepest pits of hell. Every secret will be exposed. Bronze Star. Order your copy at bronzestarcomic.com.
That's just good stuff, man. I don't care who you are. I'm not even a Western fan, and I like that, Pops. You hear what I'm saying?
You know, I had forgotten that I loved Westerns until Brian started doing that spaghetti Western show. Now, since then, I've gone back and watched all the old Bud Spencer, Terrence Hill, Jack Palance, all those old spaghetti Westerns, dude. Buddy Goes West. There's a whole bunch of them. They are so good, dude.
They are. And, you know, as I said that, I think about El Dorado with John Wayne and Dean. Is it Dean Martin that's in that with him?
Dude, there's just so many.
You think about those, the Searchers, the Sons of Katie Elder, and then all the Clint Eastwood spaghetti Westerns. You know, it's never really gone away. And in my opinion, I saw on Twitter someone said that Tombstone was the most overrated Western. No, Tombstone kicks ass as a Western.
It was great.
I enjoyed Young Guns, one more than two, but still liked both of them.
Now, when it comes
Unforgiven.
When it comes to modern Westerns, I like the old ones better. I'm not going to lie, because I don't know. I think they try too hard with the modern Westerns. And back then, they didn't really have to, because some of that stuff was, I mean,
taken for granted.
That were there, that remembered it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
You
know,
absolutely.
Now they're trying to recreate stuff.
Fucking Wyatt Earp was a consultant in Hollywood. Now, I do remember, though, one of John Wayne's greatest lines. He said, "I've been shot, stabbed, hung, had my back broken, and on my worst day, I could beat the hell out of you."
McClintock? Which one was that?
I think that was McClintock, yeah. You know, he
told that one dude in McClintock, he says, somebody ought to whoop the hell out you, but I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to do it.
Like hell I won't.
Hell I ain't going to do it. He started whooping that dude's ass. It was great.
Yep. So anyway, that's a wrap, boys and girls. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Head over to darkgiftcomics.com. Sign up for the pre-launch on A Damn Dirty Thing, my noir book that's in the works right now. As a matter of fact, over my thumb right here, you can kind of see a page, the last panel being done on page 6 of, how many is it, Pop? 16 for a regular? Yeah, I think it's 16-page book. I had originally said a short one at like 12 pages, and Anthony changed that on me. So publishers do that shit to us all the time. So that's happening. Be sure you go sign up for it and check out any of the stuff we've shared with you today. As always, I thank everybody for tuning in. Chat, you guys rock. Pops, thanks.
We got an ancient episode from Christie coming up at 3 because she's getting ready to go to San Diego Comic-Con right now.
That's right. So
she sent me an ancient episode, dude. I love watching those ancient episodes because there's, you know, Christie's always been based.
If you don't know, Christie is as hardcore as they come. And just don't give a fuck.
You don't know what you're going to get with these older ones, though. because some of it will talk about stuff that was actually happening at that time. So you have to take into consideration that these are like from 4 or 5 years ago. When it says lunch hour ancient episode, that's not today.
So I want to thank Pops for hanging out. Max, thank you for coming out as always. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Join us next week for another episode of Doc's Coffee Shop. In the meantime, play us out of here, Pops.
Oh, you're dropping on me like that. I thought you were going to do it. Okay, let's see. What do we got? How about this one? Man, that one's over. How about this
What is Path of the Pale Rider anyway? Is it a comic book? No, that's not it. Is it this? What the heck is Path of the Pale Rider, man? There's no way this is right. How about this? I have no idea.
We're gonna rob a bank.
Oh, it's this.
Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the... Where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot how to drive.
Jazz hands. Jazz hands.